Whether you buy from a clown or a king, or a little red-haired girl perpetually frozen in the 1960s, you can find a hamburger on just about every street corner in America. Since its murky origins at the end of the 19th century, there have been countless unique takes on this beefy sandwich, ranging from the sweet to the savory to the alarmingly decadent. So, today, we're taking a bite out of every style of hamburger we could find across the U.S. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History Food channel. And let us know in the comments below what other staple food styles you would like to hear about. Okay, where's the beef? As its name would suggest, what separates the Connecticut steamed cheeseburger from all the other burgers is the way in which it's cooked. It's a literal steamed ham. Seymour Skinner would be proud.
You call hamburgers steamed hams?
Yes.
The burger is usually steamed within a stainless steel cabinet that has a basin of water heated up at its base. These cabinets allow the fats to melt out of the burger and to be drained away after cooking, leaving behind a lean, juicy patty. With melted cheese on top, of course.
This is the most fun I've had with my clothes on since I can't tell you when.
Jack's Lunch, a Middleton, Connecticut restaurant that closed its doors for good in the mid-1900s, is generally credited with inventing this local exclusive. In the century or so since its inception, the style has spread out to a variety of other joints in adjacent towns, but it's remained hard to come by anywhere else, except Springfield. While everyone loves a good slider, the people of New Jersey may love sliders most of all. In the Garden State, they follow the White Castle model of taking small balls of beef and smashing them onto flat-top grills, allowing the heat of the burgers to cook the onions. A place called White Manna is the most famous of New Jersey's slider joints, and it was founded way back in 1939 for that year's World's Fair. 6 years later, they moved to Hackensack, New Jersey, where they have been a destination slider spot for over 7 decades. Hey, people need a reason to go to Hackensack. According to legend, golf sauce was originally designed by Argentine Nobel laureate Luis Federico Leloy, condiment for the prawns served at his local golf club. Would that be a prondiment? Yeah, probably. He mixed together mayonnaise and ketchup, along with cumin, oregano, and pimento. And voila! The perfect sauce was made for munching down prawns, or for smothering atop a future sandwich. Enter the Dominican Burger. The Burger is a product of the Dominican Republic, typically topped with Leloy's golf sauce, along with tomato and cabbage. It is always served on pan de agua, which is a baguette-like water roll common in the Caribbean. If you're looking for a burger in the U.S., they can typically be found anywhere there are Dominican communities, particularly in New York City and its surrounding areas, along with parts of Baltimore and Miami. Iowa's loose meat sandwich is like a cheeseburger and a sloppy joe got stuck together in that teleporter from the fly. It originated in Sioux City's now closed Ye Olde Tavern back in 1924, when then-owner David Hegland decided he was too cool for solid patties. What he made instead is basically just a burger, mixed with onion, ketchup, and pickles. But the beef is all loose, like a meatloaf in a car accident. Just 2 years after Hegland unleashed his creation upon the world, the nearby Made Right restaurant opened up, taking Hegland's loose meat sandwich for themselves and renaming it after the restaurant. Today, almost a century later, the Iowa loose meat sandwich is available anywhere between Kansas and Ohio. It's called either the Tavern Sandwich or the Made Right, depending on who you ask. Well, we hope it's made right anyway. QP Hamburgers is one of the oldest burger chains in existence. Founded in Flint, Michigan in 1923, the chain grew to prominence by boasting its ever-luxurious olive burger. The burger is just what it sounds like. It's a burger with green olives on top, often with Swiss cheese as the topping of choice. Back in the day, Michiganders were so taken by QP's olive burger that plopping olives or spreading olive mayo on top of burgers became commonplace in both Michigan and northern Ohio. And olive burgers likewise remain commonplace to this day. While the QP chain is no longer the regional powerhouse it once was, its direct descendant can still be found today in the form of Weston's QP Sandwich Shop, located in Lansing, Michigan. Their olive burgers come in not only regular and king sizes, but also the colossal size, presumably for those who like their olives by the jarful. The Theta Burger emerged somewhere in the 1930s or 40s when Oklahoma City's Town Tavern crafted a distinctive burger for the University of Oklahoma's Kappa Alpha Theta sorority. What made this burger special, and what made it go on to become a regional favorite, is its hickory barbecue sauce, pickles, mayonnaise, and shredded cheddar cheese. Though Town Tavern has since closed down for good, the Theta Burger lives on in local restaurants, namely the Mont and Johnny's Charcoal Broiler. The fried onion burger is another Oklahoma favorite because the Midwest never met a vegetable it couldn't fry. The fried onion burger emerged during the Great Depression when Ross Davis, the owner of a joint called Hamburger Inn, sought out a cheap way to beef up his restaurant's smash burgers. Rather than using bread, though, Davis would instead smash onions into his burger patties directly on the flat iron, making the burgers more hugified and also more flavorful. These burgers were a hit with his customers, and competing restaurants soon adopted the practice too, eventually adding on cheese, pickles, and mustard. Now, a whole century later, the fried onion burger remains a staple burger style all across the Sooner State. While Juicy Lucy may sound more like a cabaret performer than a savory treat, its cheesy insides will leave you riled up all the same. The only difference between a Juicy Lucy and your standard cheeseburger is that, in a Juicy Lucy, the cheese is cooked inside the burger rather than on the outside, leaving a pocket of scalding deliciousness. While the Juicy Lucy originated at Matt's Bar and Grill in Minneapolis, Minnesota, apparently after a startled customer exclaimed that his burger was one Juicy Lucy, it has since spread its cheesy innards all across America. Both loved and reviled, the Missouri Goober Burger made a name for itself as the one-stop shop for those looking to eat both a hamburger and a peanut butter sandwich at the same time. You know who you are. While the Goober Burger was popularized in Sedalia, Missouri by the now-closed Wheel-In Drive-In, who used to apply hot, melty peanut butter sauce to its burgers by the ladleful, the burger has since found its way into adventurous gastropubs all across the country. So step aside, jelly. Peanut butter has a new best friend. Invented for the Seymour Fair in 1885, popularized by Milwaukee's Solly's Grill in 1936, and recently spread nationwide by the rapid expansion of Culver's, the Wisconsin Butter Burger has grown from a regional secret into a nationally recognized burger style.
That is Butter Burger heaven.
While Butter Burgers come in many forms, they all have one thing in common. They're covered in a healthy serving of melted butter. Sometimes this butter is slathered directly onto the patty. Sometimes it's dumped on top of the burger, and sometimes, as is the case with Culver's, the butter is lightly brushed over the burger's bun. So what are you waiting for? Better get to it. Last up, we have one more entry from the Badger State, the Wisconsin Poached Burger. First created at Prairie du Chien's still-open Pete's Hamburgers in 1909, this style of burger requires a flat-top grill, covered in a layer of water, and a healthy boatload of onions. Can a boatload of onions be healthy? It's up to us to find out. Balls of beef are then smashed onto this flat top, cooking the burgers in the boiling onion water until they're ready to serve. Other businesses, such as Joe Ruher's Bar just outside of Green Bay, have since taken up this practice too, making the Wisconsin Poached Burger a scrappy up-and-coming challenger to the Butter Burger's heavyweight success. What started as a Colombian take on the American hamburger eventually found its way onto the streets of Miami. Meet the Colombian Comida Rápida Burger. While this fast food burger is frequently topped with lettuce, tomato, and onion, it also often includes melted mozzarella cheese and crushed potato chips for that after-school snack taste. But what makes this burger truly special is its love of sauces. Sometimes it's covered in a simple pink sauce, a blend of both ketchup and mayonnaise. But other times it's slathered in garlic mayo, a cilantro sauce, or more strikingly, a sweet and tangy pineapple sauce. Muy bien. Now introducing the Frita Cubana. As you might expect, this little number comes to us from the Pearl of the Antilles. That is to say, it's Cuban street food, and it likewise can be found all over Miami. Unlike other burgers, the Frita Cubana's patty isn't just plain beef. It's a ground mix of both beef and either chorizo or pork, along with a bunch of other additives, like paprika, ketchup, onions, and potato sticks. Once it's all put together, the patty's grilled up evenly on a flat top, and is then served with a hefty portion of even more potato sticks. There is no such thing as too many potato sticks. Remember the classic line from the 1994 movie The Shawshank Redemption?
Get busy living,
qué pesita.
Georgia's Luther Burger lets you do both. Not only is it topped with bacon and sometimes a fried egg, but it's always served between two halves of a glazed donut. Legend has it that soul singer Luther Vandross first developed this 1,500-calorie burger when cobbling together a meal at home. Just one bite, and he was in love.
Luther Vandross is dead.
And
While this story may or may not be true, the burger began popping up around Decatur, Georgia, decades ago, and it has since become commonplace at carnivals and fairs in both the American South and the Midwest. Despite its name, the Mississippi Slug Burger isn't supposed to have any slugs on it at all, so if you find one, send it back. Instead, the burger gets its name from its old-timey price tag. Back in the day, during the first two world wars and the Great Depression, a nickel was often referred to as a slug. Likewise, slug burgers were usually sold for 1 nickel, making them a cheap alternative to normal burgers when times was tough. So what makes the slug burger special? Its patty is loaded either with breadcrumbs or with flour and soy meal, allowing the meat to travel further than normal beef patties could ever hope to go. Because of this, slug burgers are often called dough burgers, but that just doesn't have the slug-filled ring to it. Today, the city of Corinth, Mississippi still holds the annual Slug Burger Festival, wherein live music, local vendors, and the Miss Slug Burger pageant all come together to celebrate this Magnolia State staple. Pimento cheese is usually a combination of either cheddar cheese or American cheese, mayonnaise, and little red chili peppers known as pimentos. It's, fine. It's most common in the American South, with different regions having their own unique takes on the spread. But anywhere there's pimento on the menu, especially in South Carolina, a pimento cheeseburger is sure to be just around the corner. A pimento cheeseburger is just an otherwise standard burger topped with the spicy, spreadable cheese for a burger with just a bit of bite. Memphis's Dyer Burgers, which opened its doors in 1912 and still stands to this day, has been straining and reusing the grease from its burgers for well over a century. That's right, the grease they cook their burgers in is the same recycled grease they've been using for over 100 years. Ugh, is that legal? They make use of this ancient basin by dipping their thin burger patties into its depths. Once they're done, the resulting grease is strained once again and added back into the basin to be used again later. You can also try the double dip, wherein they take the entire assembled burger, the patty and bun along with all the toppings, and dip it into the basin for an extra greasy experience. It's heart-murmuringly delicious. The San Antonio Bean Burger hails from San Antonio, Texas. Oh, hey, that's easy to remember. It's a standard beef patty topped with crushed Fritos, diced onions, cheese whiz, and refried beans. For that authentic, I'm hungry and this is what was in the pantry experience. There are conflicting theories over who invented this Lone Star delicacy. The burger's origins today are tied to the success of Sills Snack Shack, a restaurant owned and operated by Frank Sills for over 30 years. While the original Sills Snack Shack is no longer around, the bean burgers it popularized have since scattered all across the region, and often now offer a number of variations, from replacing the cheese whiz with genuine cheddar cheese, switching out the Fritos for tostadas, or adding in some pico de gallo for extra flavor. The New Mexico Green Chili Cheeseburger is a cheeseburger topped with, well, you get it. However, the green chilies in the green chili cheeseburgers are actually a special green chili sauce rather than chili peppers. According to legend, the green chili cheeseburger was a go-to meal for the scientists working on the Manhattan Project in 1945, who would frequent San Antonio, New Mexico's Owl Bar and Cafe after a long day of fission. If you're looking to taste the very same green chili cheeseburger that those scientists once had, the Owl Bar is still owned and operated by the same family to this day. And they currently advertise a $6 green chili cheeseburger on their website. After you're done there, you can continue down the green chili cheeseburger trail, a collection of more than 60 New Mexican green chili cheeseburger joints that line the highways of the entire state for anyone looking to make a patty pilgrimage. Behold, the California Burger. What sets this Golden State rendition apart from the American classic is simple. It either includes avocado, or if the chef is feeling particularly saucy, guacamole. Bacon's usually thrown into the mix too, along with lettuce, tomato, and onion, depending on the region you're buying from. Incidentally, California's most famous burger joint, In-N-Out, doesn't carry either avocado or bacon, meaning California's most famous burger isn't a California burger at all. That didn't stop Eat Show, an Orange County-based YouTube channel, from playing an April Fool's joke on over 100,000 salivating In-N-Out fans back in 2018, tricking people into believing that In-N-Out was launching an all-new Cali-style burger. Over a half-decade later, In-N-Out still hasn't made the Cali-style burger a reality. What do they have against the humble avocado? If you're out of buns and the glazed donuts are nowhere to be found, you can replace the bun with rye bread and make yourself a patty melt, baby. A patty melt is a cheeseburger, usually made on grilled rye bread and topped with Swiss cheese and grilled or caramelized onions, allegedly created by Los Angeles native Tiny Naylor. While there is some debate over whether or not Tiny and his family actually invented the patty melt, there is no doubt that they helped to popularize the sandwich over the course of the 1930s by selling it at their then more than 40 restaurant locations across Southern California. In more recent years, the rye is often substituted for sourdough or Texas toast, while patty melt purists will claim this is a totally different sandwich. While no one seems to know for sure just who thought to put pastrami and Thousand Island dressing on top of a cheeseburger, the resulting Pastrami Burger has become a Utah classic. Some believe the trend was started back in 1978 by Nick Katsanavas, one of the original owners of Crown Burgers in Salt Lake City, which has allegedly been selling these meaty burgers since first opening its doors. And no one seems to remember pastrami burgers before Crown Burgers came along. Regardless of who invented them, pastrami burgers have since turned into a local mainstay, with various takes on the sandwich popping up all across Salt Lake City and the wider Beehive State. Utah, give me two! The Montana Nut Burger is a normal burger covered in a decidedly abnormal sauce, a delectable mixture of Miracle Whip and crushed salted peanuts. The resulting smash burger is both crunchy and creamy, creating a confusing yet tasty treat for the refined Montana palate. The heart of all nut burgers is Butte, Montana, where Matt's Place Drive-In popularized the sandwich beginning in 1930 and turned it into a regional favorite before closing its doors in 2021. So what do you think? Which of these burger styles would you like to try? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're at it, check out some of these other videos from Weird History Food.